And today we've got Alpha, Dog, Wolf in the building. We have Vicky here. We have Anthony here, returning for the first time in a while. And we also have Jamie here.
Hello.
I don't know what that was, but Alpha seems pretty content with himself with whatever that was. I'm trying to figure. Was it like, hey? It was something. It was something like that. And I hate that I was recording, but they had a nice saxophone version of one of the levels in here. I don't even remember what the level was, but I could tell you if they played it again if I had more time today. And the reason why we're playing this today is number one, I haven't played in a while live streaming, but number two, they had an update. So we want to see what that is, what that entails. I think it's probably just knockout tour stuff. But we're going to check that out. We're going to do multiplayer, 4 players. So 2 controllers and somebody grab one of the other ones.
You gonna play or you want me to play?
That's probably going to be Jamie.
I don't want to play.
Or somebody's knitting a cow or crocheting a cow.
Yeah, I don't know.
You should be able to look in the holes there to see that the lights are on.
Oh. This one's not turned on.
And PC gaming so long, he done forgot about consoles now.
I'll play on my Xbox from time to time.
Okay.
This right controller isn't turning on.
Let me see.
The left controller's on, but not that right.
That's sad. Yeah, it is dead. Let's try this one.
Bryce saw frame rates of 270 frames per second on his PC, and he says he's never going back to console gaming.
That's about how much I get online or somewhere around there.
Oh wait,
okay.
what just happened there?
Oh shoot. There we go. We're good.
This one is not fine either. So many controllers.
So without looking at the frame counter, Anthony, would you be able to tell the difference between like 200 frames and 100 frames?
Yes.
Okay.
I would be able to.
I haven't trained my eye to see frames that high yet. One day, I could in theory.
There's definitely a difference because it's just like whenever you're moving like really fast, like spinning or something like that, you can tell.
You play? If you want to play, you play.
You can definitely tell the difference between them.
Yeah.
You want to play?
I don't want to. I will. It's not because I don't want to, it's because I want to.
All right.
Personalize control.
So we'll do the camera. I've got the camera moved up this time, so we need to adjust that.
It's alright, I'll just go
The
ahead.
camera's in a new location now.
I'll just pick the light.
And then Alpha's all the way in the corner now.
I'll just pick the rows then. And then she's not in there.
I'm not, mine's not moving. Oh, okay.
Why are 2 people on me?
Hey Leonard, did you see that Tori Amos is going to be in Durham?
I did not.
Yep. July 20th. It's a Monday though.
So y'all want to do the knockout tour, or you want to see what the new things are in the Grand Prix?
Okay, I forgot what what the new things were. So they're all in the Grand Prix. They're not in the Knockout Tour.
Let's actually Google it. Mario Kart Tour. No, World. Update. 2 new Knockout Tour routes. Drill Rally and Boomerang Rally. So let's check these out.
Knockout, what does that mean? You get like after a certain amount of
Yeah.
knocked out? Well, I'll be knocked out in 5 minutes. But yes, I will.
Hey, there's new Peach outfits though.
Oh!
It's like a farmer Peach.
I like
Genie and Luigi. Last half Pauline.
What?
Luigi!
I want to see the green.
There's a green Yoshi.
Of course it's
Green Yoshi, that's what it is.
Well, then
What is the original
you
color?
made it sound like there wasn't one, so that's why I was like, what? Oh.
Alright, we're trying to get Facebook Live as well.
Click this, you can sort it. And now you're on and then you have collections.
Alright, we got Facebook Live as well.
Alright, waiting on Yoshi.
Okay, finally got.
Your stream is just a black screen.
I'm not sure why.
I can see that it's capturing up there, but it's not the Twitch apparently. Weird. Yeah.
So let's try this drill rally at 100. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know why it's a black screen there. Even that music was cool.
The music was playing, but just not showing it.
Yeah, it just shows a black screen. Wonder if on YouTube it's also a black screen.
I was trying to look it up, but you guys started the game before we could.
Oh, who did that? It shouldn't be on YouTube because I had some people looking the other day. I had a video of mine that commented on YouTube. Oh, of course I ran into a car.
Oh, I ran into the damn barrier.
As soon as the star wears off, I run into the bus. They always said, "Hey, watch out! Don't get hit by the bus," and I didn't listen. What? How did they all pass me? I just literally had a mushroom. While Luigi's on top. Okay. Of course, that's a snow level. I'm wearing beach attire.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Getting hit. Oh, it's golden. Okay. That was cool. I noticed that when Anthony got a power-up, he was flashing colors, his picture, not just his character. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. A lot of coins that somebody's shooting up. Oh man, I should have held that. Oh, who did that? Who? Oh man. They were in the studio with this. Freaking Atlanta traffic just came. I'm like, what happened? I was doing so well. I feel like that's the problem with this game. It's like you used to take pride in like knowing the course, and now you're just hoping that you get an item that's good enough to put you on top at the end.
AKA Mario
Like it
Kart.
first.
Oh, there's a blue shell coming. Dang. Come on, get up there, Mario. Oh, somebody ran me over. Oh, I got eliminated. Got ran over by Bowser at the last second. You were in first, you just had to hold on.
No, I tried.
Let's see what,
Like a blue shell.
yeah, I saw that, but if she could have rebounded for like 2.5 seconds, I wouldn't have got eliminated. Yeah. Okay.
Damn it.
Change your encoder settings. Oh. It doesn't like my hardware that I'm using my graphics card. But I can't do anything about it because we're live.
Damn it! Oh, I made it barely though. I gotta do is catch the PC gamer. Oh! Freak it! What the heck just happened?
I don't know, but you got rocked, it looked like.
It was like the controls just all of a sudden just started getting like inverted or something. Ah! No. I forgot about this little lava shit area. It's over. Yep. That was over. Sucks. So much for that.
So who had number one? Who's that blue Yoshi? The computer? Oh, Anthony. Okay, well congratulations. At least it was somebody human and not the AI on there. he got 1, Alpha 4, Vicky 15, and me 16. I got ran. Oh, that was bad. So they added that, but it felt like all the stuff that I read, they added much more than this. So what was it? It was, let's just leave that off. Run it back with the same people if you want.
Still got more people to unlock.
Oh my god.
So it was Drill Rally, but wasn't there another one? I did say Boomerang Rally. Was it Golden Rally?
There you go. Oh, you just have.
This was the new one though, right?
Oh,
Huh.
I don't remember.
I have to Google it again. Yeah, Drill and Boomerang.
no, I am holding A, but I was just trying to see how come I can't go any faster than I'm going.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure what that was. Oh, look at that. Yoshi did that. Yeah, because you were the only ones whose screen wasn't affected by it.
I don't know how to do that, so.
Did you get a lightning bolt?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How many times do I have to tell you? I just hit buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. I hold down the A button, and every now and then I hit this little thing right here. That's it.
Little thing right here.
This little, I don't know what it is. L. No. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's L.
I'm out.
Ah, screwed up.
Hey, please stay on the track. Oh! Alright.
Did you run right into the shadow?
Yeah, I know, I think you ran right in front of me.
No, I think you ran right behind me.
No, for insurance purposes, you drove over there.
Sure. There we go. There we go.
Ah! I feel like those cars just take all your momentum. I remember like in 64 you hit a car and it slowed you down, but you didn't come to like a complete stop.
Why are we going to get bush fire? I don't know that.
Pretty much.
Plus, I guess you're street racing.
And there's just so much going on, you can't even see all the cars.
I literally just can't see because I had ink on my screen.
Oh wow. Oof. Come on, man!
Jason got it right after the zap.
Here we go.
I lost.
No, it's 12 or higher.
I just barely made it. I was 12. I was literally looking at the screen as I was 14th, and I was like, oh, well, that's it. Seriously, get up, Mario. I wonder if there's an option to like turn off the cars. There was a cop car that just drove into me. They're going so fast you rarely get to like really look at it.
You just gotta see him before it's out.
There we go again.
And that's the plan.
You know, I never considered that. I'm just usually focused on trying to like stay on the track.
Because I see that some of the cars on the right side are not
Oh, I still got hit.
Oh, somebody hit me.
Yeah, I got it.
taking away Mario Kart Tour. So this will be the only way you can play Mario Kart that's current. Not that they were like constantly updating the other one, but it was on your phone. So it was, you know, convenient to just play that. I'm thinking I canceled my subscription to it yesterday. I don't know how many people were still subscribed to it and everything, but
There was a subscription.
it's a reminder that like you don't own anything digital. Because they're like, oh, you can still use all your jewels, and I was saving those for stuff I really wanted. But when they make this game go offline, you can't even pull it up anymore. So thank God I didn't spend a lot of money on it. There was some money that I spent. Wow. Alpha with the win. Somebody says Yoshi is number 1.
Second.
Baby got number 2.
Would have been number 1 if I had missed that turn.
Somebody's controller drop out.
Mine's still in.
I think it was his because it turns itself off.
No, this is hers.
Oh. Yeah, if you're inactive for the Bluetooth, just cuts itself off to save battery. Let me see it. 'Cause I don't think you hit the triggers on that one. I think you have to. Oh, it turned itself on automatically before. There we go. You just have to press this middle button.
Luigi.
They got a scan in their mouth.
Yeah, the Elgato is showing everything it's supposed to on there. But for whatever reason, Switch is not.
Elgato started crashing on my laptop. I don't know why.
What's going on?
The Elgato, I don't know if it's the software or whatever, but it just don't work on my laptop. I mean, it works, but eventually the game will glitch out or whatever, and I'll mess up my recording.
And the funny thing is, when I close out of the app on Twitch and go back in, it shows the congratulations screen and then it goes away and then it's black. It shows that screen right there. Let's lower the bit rate to like 6,000. Even though I don't think that should be the issue. And then take it offline.
How long is the delay?
It should only be like 2 seconds, if that.
Oh, so you went offline.
No, I did. I turned it off.
Then it says now you're back.
Now it shows it.
Oh, it does?
It shows it from earlier. So it was live probably the whole time. It's just my bit rate was so high it wasn't broadcasting it. But yeah, it shows the whole thing even though it's a black screen. When I scroll back, all of it's there. Yeah, for whatever reason, Twitch only like 6,000 bit rate. Alright, y'all, so we are going to move on from this. I think everybody's like, can only take this game in doses. So, like, comment, subscribe, share. We're gonna probably, what do y'all want to do? Family Feud?
So I guess when Bernard comes, don't watch the movie, right?
We can if y'all want, or y'all want to jump on the Mario Party until he gets here.
I guess we could do Mario Party.
Alright,
I know she'll play that.
alright, let's do that. So, we'll just jump straight to Mario Party for those of you who watched this for that, and we will see you in the next one. For the Yellow Hat Guy, for Anthony, for Vicky, for Jamie, and for Alpha Dog Wolf, we will return. Yeah, all about messed up my outro there.
Captain Sensation.
I blame Alpha.
Oh, I blame you. Another game Jamie would like to be Fortune Street, but that's way too long ago.
I'm down to play it. I
Did
just,
you play Fortune Street with us before? Oh yeah, it's a long game.
Yeah, it was a long game.
Isn't it like Monopoly, kind of?
Yeah, Mario Monopoly.
alright, once again, it's other Yellow Hat Guy here, back with another video.
Back with another one.
Yep, back with another one.
Another one.
And,
And another one.
and we have Jamie here.
What's
Hey! We have Anthony here, and we have Vicky here. And hopefully, unlike the Mario Kart, we don't have black screens anymore, but I don't actually know. We'll have to actually see how it's looking. So what we're going to do, we're going to get off of Twitch here.
Jamboree TV.
Now, Vicky is the defending champion, so...
Oh, Vicky!
She's like, yeah.
So I think the four have
I
been.
won twice.
I think the four have been decided. It's going to be Waluigi, Peach, Yoshi, and whoever Anthony plays as.
So you're not playing in the game at all?
Nope. So Alpha, you go ahead.
I got my controller on the stand.
And then go ahead and hit the button on that.
And
Oh,
is that
dude,
what
don't hold it. Just tap it. What is that? That's probably Bernard right there.
Hey, here. What up? How are you? Welcome.
It feels like this controller. No, it didn't die.
That?
No, it didn't.
Oh. I say it was vibrating like crazy over here.
There you go.
But you have to keep pressing buttons on there to
A
keep
little
it
bit,
from
it's
going
not
to
much.
sleep.
It was just like kind of thing.
What's going on, man? So Bernard has entered the chat.
wrong? Good.
Now, are you trying to jump in on this, or are you just trying to chill and let them do it? Because I'm sitting it out, but Jamie's playing, Vicky's playing, Anthony's playing.
Okay, I can get in.
You can get in? Well,
When is that Galaxy con again?
23rd. Yeah, 23rd, 24th.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't have tickets yet. So.
I haven't heard back if they're going to let me volunteer yet.
Okay.
They're waiting until this other con is over, I think this weekend, and then I guess they'll get back to me.
Wait, what's the other con?
So, GalaxyCon is not just Raleigh, it's all these different cities that they franchise with. So there's one like Richmond, Virginia, there's different areas that they go to. And so when they do the other one that's before this one, that's I guess when they're gonna let the volunteers know if they approve you or not. It's not like before where you just submit an application and it's for free. It's somebody trying to sell viewers. I can't see my comments right now.
Yeah.
You can't?
No, I can't see my comments.
People do that on people who have like no.
They're trying to get people to
Like, have, like,
comments and get more views and stuff like that. Yeah, unfortunately it won't load my comments, but somebody commented on YouTube as well. Alpha, are you in, or you gonna let Bernard in?
I mean, since he arrived on time, and you got a controller, you might as well go ahead and jump in.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I still have a controller in my hand, so it's not. Does Jamie have one?
I know, you can play.
Nope, you're playing this one. But for whatever reason, can't see you because of, I guess, the camera.
This Toyota have that shutdown. It's like the last week of the month.
Let's see if we can adjust that slightly. Get you in there.
This week. Oh, I don't think we're live yet. Are we live?
Yes.
Oh.
We've been live the whole time. Bernard, you need to move in a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay.
Nope, still can't see. Okay, we can see kind of part of you. Just lift up your chair.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Close enough. And then just hit the A button, Jamie.
Sorry.
You're good. I need to see what Twitch is doing. Okay, it's still showing. I'm not. Somebody picked me, that's why. But I am not playing. I'm surprised this game didn't have amiibo support for it.
You doing this one?
What happened?
Which one are they going? Have we done the other one?
No. We've done Bowser live when we first got
That's
the
one where we're
update.
yelling and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put this one.
I mean, you do it.
What is it?
You do like mini games, so like it might put like a question block, and you've got to like raise your fist like you're punching to get the coins.
What's that one?
So free play is you just play any of the mini games,
Okay.
and then the roller coaster one you have to use the motion control. But it's fun. It is so fun. You're all like at an amusement park and doing all these twists and turns and dives and.
Decide yet?
Do y'all want to do a regular Mario Party? Or do you want to try something new?
Just use the motion controls, you need the Joy-Con, so.
I don't have Joy-Cons. Okay. Just do our Mario Party this time.
I mean, we have Joy-Cons. Just a matter of if people want to do motion control.
Yes!
Good luck, everyone! Mario Party!
Which one
So just yeah, new one. Now remember, with the update, we have Frenzy, which is for a close game, like a 5-turn game. Then you have the tag team, where you can be on teams.
Yeah, don't want to do just Frenzy so we can watch the movie?
That's up to you. I mean, she's the champ, so
Yeah.
you're kind of screwing her if you put it on Frenzy.
Vicky, you choose.
It does not matter to me. Whatever. I'll say whatever.
So a Frenzy is a shorter one with lots of crap going on. So just we don't normally play Frenzy for a belt. Just putting that in perspective for you. Or you can just pick a laid back level that's like an hour. You need to tell her so that she knows what to pick.
Let's do
She doesn't do them all.
Alright.
Jonas's favorite.
To go to.
What is that noise?
He's
Oh, the-
something sleeping or something.
Oh no, it's the race car.
track.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I've never noticed that.
I'm very excited.
10 turns. Bonus stars.
I think y'all might only stay awake for 10 turns. Mini game you can put on vote, I guess.
Alright.
And that should be it.
Alright.
What does mini game help me?
It tells you like what to do before you actually play, like gives you like a tutorial before you actually play.
Gotcha.
I don't think we need the minigame help. I think we play that minigames enough.
Yeah.
You don't, but you know, I don't know about him, he might.
Oh well.
Ha!
Next to you, Bernard.
Ouch.
Yeah, I totally missed it, so
Do me a favor, Alpha. Can you close that line?
Yep. This one.
Yep.
Well, other way. There we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Did you get something to eat, man?
I ate it before I came
Oh,
over.
okay. Bunch of snacks. I'm asking because I'm gonna get some more pizza. There's none left. That's on you.
Okay.
This is anyone's first time playing this board.
Yes, it's my first time.
Alright, it's yours? Alright.
You actually hit yes.
I did, so Bernard can learn how to.
Oh, I was teasing. I said yes.
No.
I've never played this one.
Oh, you also did. Oh, okay. Really?
I've never played it. No.
You never played it, but you were at least here watching.
I mean,
I don't
not
think
for
Andy's
this.
played it either. Every 5 turns there's a flash sale, so everything's half price. So,
Is you only gonna see it once?
I was gonna say it's only be once.
there's the stamp stations, so once you go buy them, you collect stamps for money.
I don't know how Steel plays this thing for 30 turns. That's every game he does 30 turns.
He probably starts those games like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, Mom, you want me to click A for you?
I'm last.
Wow, that's a strong vibrate.
Yeah, that's why I was. It was sitting here next to me, and I was like,
Here we go.
I kinda wish I was a voice.
Okay, so it looks like the star's on the 3rd level. You gotta get 20 coins to get the star.
Yeah, you'll learn that path as you go. That map will not tell you anything.
It will.
You just gotta learn like how to get to the floors when you get there. I mean, yeah, that escalator, the elevator that you see in that top middle section will take you up to the 3rd floor if you're on the bottom.
It won't
floor.
take you to the 2nd
It
floor.
will not take you to the 2nd floor.
Yeah, you gotta use that escalators.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta play the game to kind of understand the flow of this map.
So the small circle in the middle is the 1st floor. The bluish, purplish is the 2nd floor. And the yellowish is the 3rd floor.
Just focus on trying to get your 20 stars for 20 coins first. Then you can start looking at the path to get to the 3rd floor. Or you can try to make your way to the 3rd floor and then get stars along the way. Get coins along the way, sorry. And then you have these little stamp sections too. The area to the right is like a redeem place. Like, so there's different quarters of the mall that they will give you like a little stamp on your card. And every stamp gives you some coins, right? So if you fill up the whole card, you can come there and redeem that. And you can get, I forgot how many coins.
I want to say it's 50.
Coins, something like that, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's probably why people like the mall so much. It's a different, it's like its own game within Mario Party.
And also because I don't really go to the mall anymore. It's just a reminder of like what it used to be like for me.
Yeah, that's true. Four Seasons Mall don't look like this anymore.
I wish in this board there was like a food court. We're at the 3rd floor and it's like you buy, you know, certain food and that the food will do something for you.
Maybe the next Mario Party. Or DLC.
Like one of the stores might just sell like mushrooms that help you get more turns and it's exclusive to that store.
Item minigame. Start.
Oh, why is it showing me there?
Still got that.
Finish.
Honestly, that's still pretty good though.
You got an item.
It almost looks like he was pushing me. I gotta say, the feta cheese on this pizza was pretty good.
That's really good.
Minigame.
Oh, what?
Bowser Jr. versus everybody.
Awesome.
The other one.
She went into mom mode for a second there.
She should have just let him pick cookie cutters with you.
No, the cookie cutter one sucks. I don't want to do that.
Jamie loves that
She
one.
loves that one.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter. You gotta remember.
Oh, it was the three of us.
It was the three of y'all versus him, so even if she...
I like her right.
Use the left and right.
You should have said, use the left.
3, 2, 1.
Vicky didn't even go in. She was just like, I'll just hang out over here.
Oh no.
New turn.
Something that does like that. It doesn't have that mini game help.
Because it would have showed him how to play.
Yeah.
I didn't do that right.
Dang.
Because when we were playing this every week, sure.
Yeah.
But some of y'all haven't played it in maybe like a month. Oh, that scared me. I thought my plate fell over. That's an awkward angle. Call me crazy, but that Mexicali hummus, I kind of want to like
Oh, it's just
dip it in like,
it's just regular dip.
It's just regular dip.
I want to dip it in like chicken or something, like some kind of
Go
meat
for
or
it.
something.
I mean, it's not hummus. It's just regular dip.
Because what I think of is those Mediterranean places that you put like the pita bread and like
Yep.
the chicken, and it's supposed to have the tzatziki sauce or however you say it.
They actually
Yeah.
had a Zaki that, whatever.
Get
sauce.
tzatziki.
Is it tzatziki? Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me as like something that would be on top of the meat.
Yeah.
I think it would be good on chicken. Like put it with some shredded chicken and some the vegetables.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that would be good.
You're going to take the elevator. 5 coins. Let me at it. I'd rather not.
Huh. I would laugh if I heard the voices and was like, I'd rather not.
Oh shit, I don't have enough coins now.
Oh.
Oh, I missed it by 2.
I didn't think about it when I
Dang. Sorry, Vicky.
Oh.
41.
Get out.
Damn. That was cold.
At least you got one of the stamps.
Oh.
I didn't know what the flower said.
Gold shop. Can't get a golden pipe yet, though. Oh, you can get a golden pipe.
It's 25.
It's 25.
Yeah.
You get the triple dice though.
Yeah, you can do triple dice.
But I don't even know if that's worth it. Maybe if you roll really well and you get all those coins. But I would get the get the triple
Yeah, get
dice.
the triple dice.
You're gonna get the money back.
Yeah.
Unless you get 3 1s or something like that.
That was my luck. Getting the worst triple rolls in the history of life.
It's weird seeing Bowser Jr. on here because nobody picks him. We all hate him. So when he was in that game with the gloves, like, you're Bowser Jr. This is your game. That's what he does. I'd rather not.
I was gonna say you only have 10 coins.
I don't know why I thought it was like 500 coins or 200 coins when you get all 4, but y'all are right. You don't get it. Yeah, you don't get anything for just getting 1.
You do for getting 1.
What do you get?
You get like
10 coins?
it's 10 coins, yeah.
Okay, so 10 coins for every 1, and if you get all 4,
You get 50.
you get 50. Okay. See, I forgot too, y'all.
Been that long.
Yeah. I started to play Superstars. Because when we don't play these, I have like
You want to go
a...
up, stars up there in the third level.
There's like a Leonard with friends, which are these, and then there's Leonard with no friends. It's kind of like you keep it going with me against the computer. But oh, hidden block?
Star.
Oh, no star.
Well, we're back at 16 coins.
Say you have extra coins.
Because didn't he buy something?
Yeah, I bought it for 1 coin.
Okay, and then lost 3.
Yeah, I was at 9.
Okay. Wow, looks so fat in the shirt.
Minigame.
You should have picked yourself instead.
Again?
Lost and found. They all picked to blame it on the crane. Blame it on the crane.
Oh, too late. Not gonna know.
Oh, dang. It's cold-blooded.
So you press A.
Oh no, I got it.
Remember, I gave birth to you.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, you got me.
Just like you gave birth to him.
It's interesting how Vicky is
gave-
determined not
he
to
just
lose
grabbed
her
you?
son tonight. Any other night, like, I don't care. I care about
I
tonight.
really don't care.
Oh, what?
Well, she's had the belt since like May. Ah.
Yes.
So,
Oh no, no. Ah. I wish I could just reach off over on that.
nah, I've had those other belts pretty long too. We haven't done any kind of challenges. No 1-2 switch. No. Or everybody 1-2 switch. Let me not mix those games up. It's one of those games is like, the other is okay.
New turn.
Oh, okay.
Jamboree.
Bernard is thinking.
I don't know about that one.
You can use your.
Let me see.
You can use
See
your
if I can
mushroom
answer my own
pad.
question.
There's 5 spaces. So whatever you're holding.
Let's try that for the next one. I'll hold on to that.
So there is amiibo support for this. You have to do it in the party plaza and go to the data house. So we earned all those points all this time, and I could have been using those amiibos to scan to get points to do stuff too. Scanning a playable character for the first time unlocks their shiny sticker. allowing you to scan them a second time for extra party points. While some users in the community have expressed disappointment that there isn't exclusive amiibo board like in Mario Party 10, players continue to discuss the possibility of further features via updates. But you know, more characters would be nice too. And at least with the Jamboree TV, they should have had one more board, a new board to play. It's very disappointed in that. And don't get me wrong, they gave more mini games, but I think it would have been easier to do another board.
Yep.
And it could have been a bare bones board, and I would have just been like, at least it's something.
Mario Party Superstars got more boards. Why didn't they add something to this? They said they want to charge you for a DLC for the Jamboree.
So how many's on Superstars? Like 7?
I don't know. I never tried the extra boards, but I know they gave them to you for free. So
I'll have to Google that.
I think still said he prefers to play Superstars more than Jamboree.
Showdown minigame.
So it has 5 as well. So it has 5, but how many does Jamboree have? There are 7 in Jamboree, so actually Jamboree has 2 more. 3 unlockable. So it starts out with 4, and then you gotta unlock 3 more.
No, it'll tell you what to do. It's kind of like Rock Band in this kind of situation. Yours will be slightly easier.
What button do I press?
It'll tell you the button. I remember Jamie used to make those jokes. I have no rhythm.
Yeah, yesterday she went to the wedding, and then she was the only one to get, like, one of the first people to get this rhythm-based game that they played.
I'll tell you what I did like, but I'm not going to buy it, is Rhythm Heaven Groove. I got a demo for that.
I saw her. So they got a free demo for that?
That might be one of those where if it's pre-owned, I get it and one night we play it and I return it.
Or you go to Southeast Game Exchange and you find it over there.
Or
Are you
like-
going next week?
I'm planning on it. See, because Ron is like, "Oh, your amiibos, bring those." When I say amiibos, I don't mean amiibos, Nintendo. Look at me. I'm saying no. But I'm saying that. I'm saying that right there by Jamie's cup. Just be careful not to touch the face.
Okay. I mean, it looks good though.
Yeah, it takes a lot to color those things. Some of them I'm hiding from y'all because I got them for certain people. Certain things I made for certain people. But if you pick up the bottom of it, it's an actual amiibo.
Oh wow, okay.
I meant to show it on MGT, but I wasn't ready to show it yet.
Yeah, it looks like that was a challenge to paint. Did a good job with like the backside.
Yeah,
That front was just a little rough.
yeah.
Especially with the hair that's underneath the hat.
I could probably touch that up, but face is hard because it's on gray.
Yeah.
So to have the white, skin tone on gray does not do well on there. So he won that one, so he earned Donkey Kong as well. But I was happy with how the overalls.
You need 20 more
Yeah.
coins though.
The texture overall looks great. Just the hands are looking a little rough,
But only if you get.
but like the overall figure itself, yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so if you
Thank you.
build something good, it gets you the
Because I wasn't going to paint it, but then Chad was like, no, paint it, you should paint that one.
So like, you'll get
And by paint, I was using a marker for that. Paint probably be a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But I would need like a paint room. I don't have a paint room. And I'm not going to start painting in the garage. Lauren is like, oh, you should do that. You should paint. But I also didn't let him dry like I should have. He had sat out for a bit, but there's another one that I was painting at. I had to paint multiple times for a few days to get it to look decent.
That's not bad at all, though.
But one of the tricks I'm going to do is, like for that one, I should have just had blue resin. And then just, instead of painting the overall, all I had to do was everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
So something like a Yoshi, if I just had green resin, I could just paint the other parts. And color the other parts. So, you learn, but I'm having fun with it. I'm actually making something right now. I haven't made, this is like the first day in like maybe 2.5 weeks I haven't made anything. Because I was just like, I made what I wanted. Because you saw the other stuff I made, right?
At least, well, I guess I've been kind of absent from the Marco Polo check.
If you look under there by the PS4, you can see what I made. I think you would like something like that.
Yes.
The Thwomp.
Oh, that one? You made that?
Yeah.
Jamie said that now that's all I can hear that he says.
Wow,
I
and
don't
it's
know what
a-
he really
It's a
says.
Switch
But
card holder.
Yeah. So I'm considering.
And I guess you can stick SD cards in that?
Yeah, I was considering going to Sedge, or if I don't, make some of those and let y'all sell them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can bring whatever you want to our table, and we'll move it for you. I mean, you just put your like Cash App or whatever on your table, on a sheet of paper, a QR code. They'll just pay it and go right.
Yeah, so I'll probably make maybe 5 more of those by next week, and then y'all could just sell them for like $3-5 or something like that.
Pokemon Arceus.
Mini game.
at least $5.
Yeah.
I think it actually could be more.
Yeah, you can sell more.
I think actually at least 10.
Why not?
You're probably right. I always see that stuff, and I'm like,
I'm thinking like $7.
I'm like, what is the value of somebody's homemade thing? You know what I mean?
Hey, but I mean, people do this as a business.
Oh, they do, but this is me we're talking about. I would give them away to everyone if I could, because I wouldn't want anyone to buy it.
This is dope, though. I mean, it doesn't feel 3D printed, but it says it really has so much more weight, more density to it.
Well, maybe October you get one.
Okay. This is dope. I like it.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm most proud of that I made, because you can make figures and stuff like that, but I wanted to make stuff that I could actually use.
Yeah.
So if I make figures like that, I can actually still use that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, like I got one over here that was defective.
Because you got your Amiibo.
Yeah, I have this one upstairs,
Safe.
but this one's defective, so
Wow. Let me see.
he's got the,
You got the toothpick or
because
whatever.
his face
Yeah, that
isn't
one
printed.
just didn't tip over like one.
Battlestar.
Yeah.
But it's, overall, I like the design. That's dope.
Yeah, so I still kept it because it still works. This is still,
It's still functional.
yeah. And we'll talk offline. I'll show you how
Okay.
I use these things here to write.
That was fun.
That's dope, though.
Yeah.
I mean, for only having a machine for less than a month, you come up with this. That's
It
Yeah.
gives you a
great.
better chance to get to start though. Yeah, because it's close to the micro close to
Okay, Bernard is on the board.
We now sell
Jamie has a start.
we now sell 3D.
Yeah, but we
printers at Best Buy.
expect Jamie to get stars every game. If Jamie does not get a star, we're probably watching a video from when she first was playing.
Did you not get one the last time?
There's no games where I didn't get a star.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose somebody probably stole them from you.
Yeah, I think somebody did, but I think at the end, because
But we've seen enough games where Bernard doesn't get anything.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
We've seen games where
Hey,
there was
it's gonna
food
be
at the
this
house,
one.
and Bernard showed up late and got no food and also no stars and went home.
One coin.
Hey, you can use your dice.
Oh, stream froze. Dang it.
Yeah, that's what happened with my capture card too. My laptop, that just freeze. I have to like restart the Elgato utility or whatever.
Well, see, on here you can just deactivate it and reactivate it. You don't have to close out the whole thing. 'Cause I'm just gonna find wherever that is and cut it.
For me, it's not.
Oh,
yeah.
Kidding me?
It's actually my capture card. OBS is fine. OBS is just picking up whatever the capture.
Ah.
If it freezes up, 'cause I have that. For some reason, I have to run the Elgato utility
That's
for OBS to detect that that it's running. And so if while the Elgato utility is running in the background, if it freezes, then OBS is going to just freeze as well. Not the whole application.
Don't you have the same card I have?
This is on my laptop.
Bell.
I understand, but what? Aren't you using the 4K
Yeah,
60F?
4K-S or whatever.
Yeah, 4K
And if I
60F.
call the
But for
boo,
whatever reason, like I said, it acts up on my laptop.
You can pay to steal stuff.
Yeah, if you buy that and you have 50 coins, you can steal a star from somebody.
Yes. Instead of.
I would buy it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Because you got 6 turns left.
But back to what we were saying, you should be able to down here add that as a source.
I mean, yeah, I did have it added as a
Yeah, so
source.
as long as you can get
So
50 points.
it's added as a source, but it won't even pick up any footage until I actually run the Elgato utility in
You're
a separate
14
window.
away, so it's going to launch you.
That
but you
just
don't know
sounds
where
so
you're going.
weird.
So it's up to you.
Because I'm wondering because if you change custom settings on video on here, sometimes it won't show. But if you put the default video, it should always show.
The thing is, it's something going on with my laptop because I can't even record directly from the Elgato utility anymore. It just crashes. So it has something to do with my laptop setup. I don't know what it is, but I haven't tried. At least I don't have the need to record on my PC game capture footage because I can record that straight off my video card. NVIDIA has that utility where you press like, I don't know, Control G or Shift Z, whatever, Shift Z, whatever, and it pulls up that panel and you can hit record. So I use that to record up my gaming content if I need to.
Oh, okay.
But, or
I've never used that.
These more coins.
I mean, it works just fine. But
I
I
like
don't know what's
You're
going
gonna
on with
get
that
rid of
Elgato.
this.
I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, get rid of the.
Oh, maybe bring it over here one time. We can mess around with it OBS. Because I've had to change this so many times to get it. So
But I did figure out how to get the, considering I'm trying to record 4K footage, I learned how to dumb down the settings of the laptop to be able to record it in
I don't have
1080p
enough
at
money
least.
to get anything.
So, because I think I ran into that same problem you were where you
Yeah.
tried to record.
Won't even let me browse.
You had the advantage of choosing a window
Like, you
or,
two
you
boys
know,
were-
a
Get out.
screen.
Get out.
I was trying to record straight to the device, but I can't, obviously because the resolution is so big, my laptop only pictures a corner of it. So there's that button right below the. I don't know if yours is set up the same way mine was, but there's this little plus and minus button to adjust the size of the screen.
Oh yeah.
So I adjust the size down to the point where it was like really small, and then I hit the scale to fit button. And
Yeah. I got that on there.
So that's what
There's
I
a
did.
scale right here, plus and minus.
Yeah. So I had to adjust the scale, and then it was able to record it at the laptop's maximum display.
With a base camera.
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks that way.
Oh, wait, no,
But
that's
that I can only get 1080p, but at least I'm not looking at a corner of the screen or a cutoff. I have the whole screen, so.
My recommendation is to record it at 1080 and render it at 4K. It'll take you longer,
It's
but
still not the same because you still be missing some of those textures, but it's alright, That's what I do all the time with all my videos anyway.
Now, yeah.
But it just sucks I can't
No,
natively,
it's just
get
the
that.
items.
Unless I upgraded
Wait.
my laptop to a 4K laptop.
I couldn't read it. It was going too fast.
I don't need it.
I can't remember if the stars were. You could see it.
Bernard, you already know what you have to do.
What, I gotta go around? I gotta.
You have 7 to the star. You need to use that mushroom.
Yep.
I'll give you 5.
Where am I gonna
As
go?
long as they don't give you 1
Yeah.
or 2.
You gotta use that mushroom. It's gonna give you 5, and then you just need to roll higher than a 1.
Let's see how far we can go. Please don't let it be a 1.
One.
Oh, okay.
Unless you got it.
Now, if it was gonna be a 1, I was ready to hit annotation, but so quick. I was like, let's see what we got here.
Do I need to get a stand? Do I need to go there? Or do I...
Yeah, that way.
No.
No, don't go that way. That way, yeah. You see the arrows? So hold on.
So it's
Move it back the way you had. Don't press nothing but that. See how you move the arrow? It's yellow and it says a top 15 to the star?
Yeah.
That's the wrong way to go. Move it back the other way. See now it says 2.
Go the 15
You're gonna go.
It's gonna lead to oh, crap, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
It's gonna basically make you go downstairs.
Go the other way.
Sorry.
The star is
The
downstairs.
other way's better. Beat us all.
And you
go
still
the
get a
other way.
stand.
At least you get some of your money back.
Great. Okay.
Is that the 1 coin store, brother?
Yes.
Oh, it is half off. It was 10.
Oh wow.
Wait a minute.
What?
It's half off?
Yeah, flash sale is on.
Oh, but I didn't know the stars right.
Yeah, everything's half off. Okay.
It's not good. I'm gonna hope I get close.
Come on, star. Move closer to me.
No, we're closer to me.
It went right back upstairs.
Oh, wait, no, I can actually still get there. Wait, no, can I go that way?
It goes the other way though, right?
Or do I have to go that way?
Maybe you to go to the stand.
Well, I just say when it's your turn.
Oh, yeah.
Ah. Yes. It worked for me?
Trying to remember all this.
Try to leave it.
No, I'm talking about that elevator. We're going to go up the elevator.
If you go up the elevator, you have to go to the
We have to go
right.
to the right. Okay, so I can't go that way.
That's the most vocal thing I've heard him say that almost sound like an actual word. It sounded like he said, why?
If you go up to the escalator on the left, you can go all the way up.
Oh, I thought that one just went down.
Not to the left
Nah.
of the elevator. There's another one.
Nah.
Oh.
What, you're gonna wait till you get more?
I mean, well,
Oh, that one.
what did the stamps do again? I forgot.
They give you points. So if you get 4 stamps,
Yeah.
Did I get what?
you get
40?
50 coins. Each stamp gives you 10, but you have to make it back there to cash them in.
And that's the only place you can catch it.
You only have Donkey Kong for 3 turns.
I'll get another one.
So now that you turn it in, you have an opportunity to get all 4 again. Okay, that actually sounds eligible. Everything else sounds ineligible. I said ineligible. Illegible. I don't remember how to say that word. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't make out what somebody's saying. Is it ineligible? It's inaudible?
Unintelligible.
Unintelligible. There we go. Unintelligible. I meant to have like the Jeopardy screen up for that, but we fixed that.
Oh, you hadn't been to. Have you? Have you bought anything?
A blue bell.
2. Okay. Go gold.
What? They just gave her 2 white ones? So you're saying she screwed everything up? Vicky, you were supposed to get the blue balls.
I would say just blue balls are chipping.
That's what she said.
Wait, no.
So I got rumors of 2D Metroids coming out.
Yeah, I heard about that. Hopefully it's not like Metroid Dread 2 or something like that.
I have a feeling at least one of them is. Because one is supposed to be a remake of Super Metroid,
Okay.
and the other is supposed to be like a Metroid Dread type. Called Metroid Ravenous.
Looks like a good deal.
So Dread and Ravenous, they sound like they're in a family
Yeah, that one goes down.
of punishment.
Yeah, the Metroid Dread really punished me. Did you ever beat Metroid Dread?
Nope.
Yeah, those go up.
Me and still beat that kind of around the same time. I have no intent of ever playing that. I think I sold my copy to Jose after I beat it.
The warp is,
Yeah,
you can't,
Well,
I don't think
they made it easy mode.
it doesn't let you choose.
Nah, I'm not the type of person who's dumb stuff down, but boy, that game, man, I struggled. But I beat it though. But Bryce, I keep telling Bryce you need to go ahead and beat it. He's like, nah, I'm not going back to that game. And then
Well, if you
Trey,
get
don't
down
get me
on the
started on
third-
him. I don't think
on
he's
the
never
last
going
level,
to
you
do
go up the elevator.
that.
Oh no, you can't.
I think I should go.
I think I'll beat it, but I'll have to dumb it down. I'm not trying to stress
Yeah,
out.
you have
As
to.
hard as that
You
was,
get on left.
they
Yeah,
offer
you
a
actually-
I
hard-
think Kari beat it.
Oh, okay, well then I should go.
I believe Kari
These are
beat
my
that.
double dice.
He likes the
He likes those kind of
Metroid,
games.
Metroidvanias and platformers. So. I think Javier's got Metroid Dread. I might be wrong.
Take that.
When I went to his house, he showed me his collection. Actually, that was the last time me and Jamie went to his house during the day.
Definitely will look at that.
Yeah, looked at the house and we ate it. Like, everything under the bun,
Yeah.
restaurant.
So good.
Georgia purchased.
Everything under the bun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
That
like
sounds okay. I'm gonna let that one go.
certain.
It was a cool place. It was like a little diner.
What is the green one first? To go to a store?
No, so the green shop one.
What?
You talk about the one that's 3 coins.
200% was in the
Yeah, the markup sticker, yeah.
Oh my god. That is crazy.
Right?
The markup is not just on the store; it's on the star too.
Yeah.
I guess it's for free anyways.
But you only have
Inflation, I don't know.
one more turn.
I think this may be this last
Or it might be.
So look,
Wait, so what's the green one?
he can only buy one item anyway, or he has to throw something away.
I think I should just get the double dice.
Yeah.
I mean, the shop one wouldn't have been bad either. So.
Yeah, that's what was the shop thing? The store.
The green one was a warp to a shop,
Okay, that's what it was.
and the one with the exclamation is just warping.
That'd be tried the multiplayer Star Fox yet?
I just did a demo.
Oh, you never bought the game? Okay. I mean, I bought the game, beat the single player. I haven't tried the multiplayer yet at all.
Oh, versus.
I know it's already considered a budget title, but
Versus minigame.
for me that would be like a $20 game or mouse PI price.
If you want, I think I have it on me now, or I could probably try it.
Oh no.
I'll get my book bag over there.
Whoever wins will be great.
Carousel. Sled to the edge. Ah! Sled to the edge.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, I'm actually kind of good. I remember this one.
It was Jonas's favorite game.
Yeah.
Sled to the edge. Sled to the edge. Sled to the edge. Slide me to the edge.
Oh,
This is driveway talk.
He's like, there are children here.
Child.
There's a minor here.
Probably a child watching as well. If you were a child and watching, like, comment, subscribe, share.
Yoshi won.
No,
Stop, 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 stop.
Oh!
Bernard won. By default.
And also, warning, some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion
I haven't
is
heard that in a
advised.
while. I haven't heard that since like Jonas was here.
Well, usually I don't have to do that. Unless he's here. But every now and then,
No blow up dolls here.
gets spicy. Or some certain hobby stories I have to.
No! Damn it!
Uh-oh.
Oh.
He's gonna take your double dice.
I know, he's gonna take my double dice.
Well, you have enough for a star.
Oh, you actually came out good.
Because what's the price of a double dice? 10 any as well? You basically said, here, I'll move on to something.
5 or 6?
I mean, I came out on top of there. You paid me more than I paid for it.
Yeah.
I saw the first one.
Do not press gatekeepers. Get off of that one. I don't care whatever one you do. Do not press gatekeepers.
Oh, okay.
No! Oh, no!
Wow.
Do not press gatekeepers.
Who won?
Ever. I don't care.
I thought he was gonna do it just to be contrary.
Oh, God.
Oh, you did.
What?
Finish.
Hi.
Tie game.
It wouldn't really turn, so okay.
Only 5 turns left. Home stretch.
Ooh. Let's see. Oh, wait.
No.
No.
That would be awesome.
Let's say all players.
Receive a star steal.
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
So you put it down and
Yeah, you put it down, and if somebody lands on it, they stop.
Kofi Kingston is coming to GalaxyCon.
Nice. Oh, it's Carl Urban.
So what?
Carl Urban.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Pam Grier. And Rosario Dawson. I think I have something going on that morning. Nice.
Oh, wow.
I have enough to steal now too, so.
Did you hear me? I said it's gonna be a star.
Wow.
Oh!
My goodness.
He rolled
Oh,
two
you got-
ones. Got ten.
Oh, he's going to the fourth place store.
Oh no.
How you get to
Fourth
go to
place.
the fourth place store?
We haven't seen.
Okay.
I don't think we've
Fourth
seen this.
place.
Yeah, we haven't seen this in like a year. Somebody
Yeah.
actually be fourth and get on there.
Only you can shop at the store because you're in fourth place.
I got 15 points. Am I still see a star?
Those are some nice
Those are
items,
some
though.
great items.
Especially that mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already have one of those. Or you can get a triple times. Custom ones.
I feel like for 2 more points I should get that instead. I'm gonna get that.
That only goes up to 10.
Yeah.
I feel like the triple does probably get me.
Yeah.
Triple dice has
That's what I
the. Can't guarantee you.
Haven't seen this in a while either.
Please don't steal my star belt.
He honks at them.
Oh.
give me 1,000 coins and he hightailed it.
That's the best outcome you can get out of it.
Yeah.
She got very lucky on that. It was almost like you hitting the star and then you hitting Bowser, the best outcomes that could happen when you got on those spots to land on.
Start.
Yeah, I want the helmet from now on because I need to practice for a second.
Oh no.
Because I always forget what the buttons do.
So close. Hiding behind the daggone.
Ah,
I mean, that was a strategy. That was a strategy, though. He was camping out.
It was working for a good minute.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, did the controller freeze? Why is he just hanging?
Only 4 turns left.
Alright, so as we've learned is we do need the practice one.
Yes.
What round is this? I mean, how many turns?
So what?
How many turns do we have left?
You have 3 turns left.
Eat a drumstick over there.
$106 coins, though. That felt like the wheel on Price is Right as long as that was going.
Your turn, Yoshi.
Also, with 3 turns left, you have 2 traps. I think you probably need to get rid of them.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. It'll be alright, though.
I knew
I
it.
take his though. He can't. Thank you.
Oh, here goes that star.
I can't fight it.
Might as well go that way to get the sticker. Money. The only thing I have money for is that. But I think I'm gonna. Who stamps this time?
A mini game.
What? That's a good thing.
No! I don't like to hit limiting. Oh.
This one's
Oh,
fun.
it's just mine. Oh.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? It's not a versus. It's pachinko.
I love pachinko.
Finish.
I wish we just like played.
You got an item.
She She's like, no. It's like,
I thought I was gonna have to go against people, and I was like, no, I don't want that.
Wait, why?
No,
What
go
are
back,
you doing?
Go back, go back. You're 11 away.
Oh yeah, the double. I didn't realize.
This is a defining moment in the game right here. What you do on this turn. Well,
Unless I get a 10.
it was still defining. Just he didn't make it to the ghost house or anything. But hey, there's good stuff here.
Shops.
Yeah. Now you can buy the super swap mirror or the super dueling glove for a star.
Don't you have a mirror?
Yeah, he has a mirror, but that's the super swap lets you pick the person you want to switch with.
Your mom has 2 stars.
I should get.
No.
He said your mama has 2 stars.
Your mom has 2 stars.
They're back on. He's back on the school bus.
You're gonna have to find some way home.
Hey. No.
You haven't even bought anything.
Mini game.
I thought you did, and the guy stole it from you. You didn't buy that double dice?
No.
Yes, yes, please. Please do the left one. Please do the left one. Please. Yes.
I've never seen somebody so into domination since Jonas.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
It's A.
Yes.
Start.
Wow. He's running overdrive. 2, 1. I gotta tell Anthony on this already.
Yeah, well, if he didn't win, it's like, hey, he either had a stroke or he won the game. Yeah, I forgot that's me. Why are they showing him one? All that for 10 coins. Just
Only 3 turns
it
left.
feels different when you're just watching though versus playing. Well, I need those 10 coins.
Might as well start using stuff.
Yeah, you need to start using those items. Probably that star. Yeah.
How do I think board again?
So you can press the B button to go back, but at this point you're
Press
pretty.
A to set it.
Can you lay on your own trap?
Yeah, nothing happens if you land on it.
Oh, well.
It'd be cool if you landed on it and they're like, oh, we'll give you an additional star for landing on your own track. I'd rather not. No, I think you should actually go up there. You can afford it. You've got 106 coins. So if there's a rich bonus, maybe you get that. I'm rich, bitch!
I can't go back that way.
No, you're right near the. Oh! Dang. I thought you could go to the left. Well, this is still good. You can buy a golden pipe here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the gold shop!
Yep. You doing it. I'm gonna get it.
I was afraid you were gonna press A too fast and pick the first dice and not the golden pipe. So Jess was supposed to show up, and that's who she would have picked, was the shy guy as well. 15 away. She only has 6 coins. Darn Chanel. Hey, maybe lay out the trap just to get it out of the inventory.
But it gives somebody a star, doesn't it?
No, you take the star if they land on your trap. You thought that those give people stars all the time?
I was like, why would this be a good thing? I don't
No, we
understand.
said it would be good if you put that down and you land on it and that gave you an additional star for... But no. I would put it on a spot where people want to land on.
Okay, wait, though. Oh, you can only go this many spaces.
You can only go so many spaces in front of you. You can't just put it anywhere. But you should put it somewhere where people want to be on. It's my opinion. I wouldn't put it on a red one. They already want to avoid a red one. No, 5.
Wait.
First place? Nope, they're giving you nothing. Oh, you're 6 away. This is gonna be interesting.
Are you kidding me?
Well, at least you got to the ghost house. Did you take from your mom? Who has 6 coins and Bernard has like 76?
Take stars.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, he should have. If he had enough coins, he could have took a star from her. He chose to take coins from her, which was like, why would you take the 6 coins?
Could have got so many more coins.
I know, you could have got
Oh!
Oh!
Where's the Chris Pratt face?
quickly.
Chance time.
Bernard's giving up some money. Oh, he played. That wasn't.
Actually worked good.
That actually was okay. So he took your coins and 20 from Bernard. That actually makes up for it. It'd been nice if he got a star instead. But
Yeah.
I need my money back.
well, you still have enough for what you're going to do with your next turn.
I just can't lose it with a trap.
Ooh. That was her own trap anyway.
Bonus minigame.
Get double coins, okay?
Somebody's stressed. Heard minigame. Heard a deep breath. Like, oh no. Dang it. Keeps freezing up.
I don't think I've ever played this one.
A is jump.
Okay. Platform Pearl. I was just thinking to myself, like, it would be nice to see that one. Just reminds me of Mario RPG.
What the hell? I was just pushing straight.
Oh.
Oh, we don't get to come back?
Nope, this is all Jamie now. She doesn't even have to make it to the end. She just.
Coins. Haha, leave.
She's just getting all the money without y'all in the way.
Finish.
I never win. You're usually the first one that dies on this one.
Well, it's a lot easier when everyone else is gone, so you can move around freely. But yeah, I enjoy that one. How many coins did you get?
28.
Wow.
I needed the money.
Only
She got
2
28.
turns left.
That was beastly.
You know what?
Oh, I showed up.
Jamboree.
You know
Oh, I showed up.
I got you. I know exactly how this is gonna go.
He shows up like second to last turn. That doesn't really.
Pulling a Bowser Jr. here.
Right in front of your face. Sorry.
Okay. So where does that put him right at Mario? You sure? 5 spaces?
I don't think so. Well,
Might put you right in front of him, if not past him. Okay, got a star. So technically had 3 stars. And then it moves it right in the same corner?
okay.
This is destiny for you. You got 40 coins still. You get Mario and that? Oh, that's pretty much the game.
It's a go time.
But there has to be a game, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to earn him. But if you get him, you get to buy 2 stars. Because you're right where that star is now.
Showdown.
There's some stuff that can happen here. Some people have things to.
I need money. Okay. Yeah, dice adds 3 to. Okay. I don't know how to play this.
I don't know how to play this right
You're just gonna be jumping a lot. I think he has a Simon Says game at the end of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
It's a go time.
It's a go time.
But I could be wrong. I know there's a Shy Guy that has a hat on that does something like that. I don't remember everything Mario does. There's like 3 different games there.
This is the one where you jump from leaf to leaf.
Yeah, all the way to space.
Okay.
So Bernard has an advantage.
Okay, yeah. So you jump from leaf to leaf.
Start.
No, Bernard, just jump straight up. Now you jump to the other side. Pretty much jumping on what's above you. And to add insult to injury, they're like, Mario's gonna also play and do it with you and show you what they expect you to do. Don't do worse than him.
Next.
And then the next one is we try to get each other off.
Oh, there is a Simon Says one at the end. The next one is like, yeah, like a Super Monkey Ball thing.
Yeah, where everybody holds the ball.
I'm like, where did they get this idea from?
Oh no.
The Daisy mini games are more Mario than
Yeah.
Start.
than this.
Monkey Ball Jr. Ah.
Oh man, that was sad. He said, "Oh no!"
This sounds like pornography.
This is driveway.
What kind of
right
porn
here.
are you watching? Are they clowns? Are they in a circus?
Oh no, not
We're like,
Mario.
listen, it's Mario and Peach.
That's what she said.
Oh no.
Oh, you almost got me.
I know.
That is also.
That's what she said. Is it left bumper, right bumper? Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Start.
No.
Oh, I'm surprised nobody messed up yet.
Oh!
You got lucky. You still got the right one, even though you were mad
Oh
late.
my god, yeah, you got the
You were super late, and he still gave you credit.
Okay, cool.
Because I heard you press the button after he had already. Everyone
It
else had
wouldn't
already.
let me do it, so I hit it a second time. I was like, what the heck? Right?
Damn it, man.
Anything, but I guess
I have achieved my goal of not letting Bernard get
Really?
Mario.
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, good job.
Each one.
I did that for you, Vicky. Because I am nowhere close.
Well, can you land somewhere and get?
No, I'm
Something?
like 40 something away from the star.
How many coins do you have to buy something? 89 coins. Oh wow. Well, you'll get to the ghost house to steal from it. That's really your.
How many times? Where's the goat?
Not that one, right? Yeah. Pretty much you want to pass the Bowser and land there.
7.
At least, yeah. I like how that showed you what items were in the house on that screen.
This is 9. This is turn 9.
What?
I said this is turn 9 of 10, so.
You probably need to use that anyway to get out of that area. I mean, sure, Bernard will probably still get the star, but.
You get some
coins.
coins.
I've got no coins. And plus I got a
She said, between my son and Jamie, I am going to.
Stole from me.
He did, yeah, 6.
Only stole 2 more.
And
coins.
guess what? I still got more coins than
Oh,
you
me too.
did from stealing from you.
Barely.
I'm gonna say.
He had like 60 coins.
More
And
is more.
more is more. Less is more. I know.
Yeah, 'cause the star's up there.
Wait, where's the star?
It's up there. He's gonna get it. You should have went downstairs.
No, it's not.
No, she should have. The star is upstairs, but she's not gonna get enough coins to get it. If she would have went on the lucky spot, she would have got some coins. It's whatever. At this point, it's only one more turn left.
Well, we still have one more minigame, so she can get enough coins, timer. I think she's gonna get 6 coins, and then if she
Yeah,
wins
yeah.
the next one, she's gonna get 10.
Yeah, he still has 30 something
I think
more.
they use this.
31 more.
I think they use that.
Because you don't have a star. You can only use it because if you lose, what do you get? What do they get if you lose? So
No.
now you might swap with him. Oh!
Really?
Oh! You know.
Wow.
Please,
The
please.
sound effect.
Yes!
Oh!
Yes!
I keep getting robbed.
Oh my gosh, Navi is shocked.
I keep getting robbed.
Not Navi.
Navi when she was on her
Yes! Oh my god.
her diet.
I'm battling someone with a star.
Yeah, you can do it his last turn now.
Oh my god.
He came from out of nowhere with that.
Oh.
And rolled a 5 to get.
I got so lucky with that.
But where is Bernard at then? If you're there.
Back where I was.
I know, but where was that?
Where the last star was before that one.
Oh.
The literally space right before.
Oh,
What was that? Oh.
Is there a golden pipe? He's got the Bowser phone!
oh!
Wait, what did that do?
Calls Bowser to one of your opponents.
But you still need to use the dueling glove. You still have to use the dueling glove if you're gonna win.
I don't think I've seen anybody use Bowser Stone before.
I was hoping there was a gold pipe in the bag and that he could have used that.
Oh!
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 No, you didn't want to look. You have plenty of money.
I don't want to look. It's,
Yeah, 9 she can still buy.
I don't care. Anything I would want is too much.
You have the most coins. Wow. And aren't you gonna land on that?
Wait,
Store?
You get 2 stars.
Yeah, she gets 2 stars. No, yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely get 2 stars.
Oh, she
I
was.
just wanted to make sure I was going on 2 stars.
I was so mad. I was like, "Don't pull Paul, please don't pull Paul."
Yeah.
And the game froze, of course.
You got stars.
Got stars.
I was so shocked I wasn't looking at the screen. I was like, "Oh my gosh, all of this just happened the last turn." No pressure for whoever is next to do something miraculous because you're
It's a
gonna.
minigame.
Oh, that was the last. She was the last one to rotate.
I'm the last one.
Oh
Oh my god!
no! He gets 2 stars. No, just 1.
Yeah, no, I just get 1.
Oh.
I just get 1. I could get another one though,
No.
if I win. Yeah, no, because I have to do it.
No, it's happening again.
I have the,
No.
I have
I'm
the,
going into this.
Oh, okay.
I have the dueling glove.
You do.
So-
you go.
If I
So you use the cell phone about your cell phone?
No, do not use the cell phone.
I need to use the glove.
You have to use the glove if you want a star.
Guaranteed.
Yes, Bowser will come, but that doesn't mean he's going to take a star, or he might just take coins. He might take your stuff. if the other person does like a Bowser Shuffle or something stupid. But she can also buy a dueling glove and come right back at you. Wow, everybody's at 2 here. I thought Bernard had this game on lock.
I want to get the dueling.
Rob.
Would it give you an advantage over Anthony if he has dual?
Okay.
You be swapped, and there's no guarantee that
I was gonna say it's
he's
not
gonna win both games.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I could win both games and then get 4 stars. And then basically.
She could win both games.
Yeah.
Or y'all just,
So it's a star on the line for whoever. So, yeah, out of those,
like, you don't have to use it, but
Yeah.
if he beats you, you might as well.
it's still a gamble because you gotta be good at mitigating.
Whatever the minigame is.
But see, there's 4 people, so it's not like you have to challenge him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's challenging you either.
Right.
You could challenge Bernard, you could also challenge Vicky as well.
True. Mom, it's already coming. You're already gonna get challenged by me.
Anthony.
It's gotta happen.
Or I can save my money. Do we get one more turn after this? Right?
Yes, but I don't know if the ghost house is open on turn 10.
Because I was going to say I'm right down the street.
Here, let's help. I'm just going to do this since I'm not playing. Is the ghost house open on turn 10? Yes, the ghost house is open. No, that's not what I asked. It didn't say if it's on turn 10. Can you go? Hold on, let me reword that.
On the last turn, maybe, but
This is super small. But I don't, there's no guarantees that it's going to be close to the star.
Yes, you can go to the ghost house. However, on the final turn, all shops will close and King Boo will not rearrange rooms. That's not a clear answer. Freaking AI is.
Never is a clear answer.
It doesn't give me a clear answer. I would.
Minigame.
I could have just lost the game by choosing that. That's okay.
Now you'll see when you go over there. It's like, oh, it was open, or oh, it was, another episode of Snag the
You
Flag.
literally just
Put
run
it out.
and run.
Oh.
You don't have to like
Start.
do anything but run.
But make sure you get the flag.
Oh my god.
I thought this would be the one where you could like punch people and stuff too, but evidently not. Bernard is killing it.
All the flags.
Dang.
Did I win?
Yeah,
Yes.
he came back because he saw all of them at the end.
Oh yeah.
The problem was
I
you
just
cut
looked
him
at where he
off
was going- I looked
and
at
got
where he was
through
going
him, yeah.
and freaking figured out where I could go.
You were that driver that somebody's trying to yield in and you're just like, nope. Bro, you saw my signal. That's what Bernard is yelling at you. It was an extremely close game. And out of nowhere. So he swapped with him and put him on the chance time space.
Yup. And then she landed on my star and freaking or the star
That
trap.
was crazy.
I completely forgot about it. I wasn't expecting anybody to land on it.
I wasn't.
People
expecting
usually
nobody.
don't.
Yeah, people usually don't, and hardly anybody ever lands on that superstore there. Because like, hardly ever anybody
I
ever.
was
Like
just
we never
praying
see
that
that
somebody was gonna
store.
land on it.
Yeah,
but
we
I
never
mean,
see that store.
I thought she was gonna land on it. I was hoping until I saw the double dice and she got a 10 on the first time. I was like, oh no, I'm not getting it. Oh, I'm not getting it.
They're close!
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it's the last turn.
Hold on, that deserves a...
Oh, did him.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's what he just said when he was looking that stuff up. That all the shops are closed on the 10th turn.
Forgot. Yeah, spikes.
Okay. Yoshi's still in it, even at 4th.
Turn, Albert. Turn here.
Oh, let's see what happens here.
See.
Uh-oh.
I hit random.
Somebody else. Come on.
Mother-son competition going on.
My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why I got out of... Oh, he's still... Oh, no, he picked Jamie.
No, he
It's
picked
random.
random and if it went to me.
I know, but it went to her. I thought he was picking you so I could sing the Eminem. Oh, it's this one, the Marvel.
Oh,
How do I do this?
you gotta run.
3,
Oh, okay.
2, 1, go!
Watch out, she's gonna punch you. Run.
Oh my gosh, this is
Keep
so
running.
close. Oh, this is so close. Oh, she did it! She did it! Oh, she did it! She did it! It was like when Trump won and he didn't know he won the first time.
Did you just call me Trump?
No, I'm just saying the reaction.
Son of a bitch.
The reaction was like it felt like you were like, oh no, he's gonna win. And she came right out and slapped the shit out of you. Didn't even tell you that you could do that. He's like, how do I play? And she was like, she's like, I'm not telling you. I just punched him.
You stole my star. Stole it back.
It's like in wrestling before they even ring the
Oh!
Oh! He's gonna get coins.
No, it's gonna be a star.
Oh! Oh!
God,
Called
2
it.
stars in one game? Oh my God, from his...
Oh, Nabi!
Oh my God!
Called it.
That's insane! This is an incredible game.
Somehow the Goomba is over here.
Oh, he
Oh,
kicked
man.
it off.
No, you're good. I was like, what the heck?
Oh my God.
Why does it feel like you had Mario for like over 30 minutes? Oh, he's still open! He's still open!
Still open!
How? Okay.
Random. Come on.
That's the most nothing's gonna be here.
It wasn't you, Bernard.
I mean, I know.
Oh, this is wild! This is...
Like,
Oh, I can't wait to see how the graph looks at the end.
Yeah,
This is gonna
this
be
episode...
incredible.
I couldn't think of a title, but it's just going to be Anthony Jamie versus Anthony.
Oh, let's see. Who has
again?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Come on, that's not fair for me.
Alright, let's see. Who's number 2? Alright, here we go.
Yo! Rock 3 times? Like,
I'm just going with whoever's in second place.
It's a really long tongue.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She said it.
You just don't pay attention to it when you're playing. You're just like, oh, mashing the A button. That would have been wild if you landed on that chance time.
God, I would have screamed and walked away.
Because then you would be doing that twice.
Oh my
Final
God,
minigame.
what a freaking game.
Because it started out, I'm not gonna lie, it started out kind of slow, and then it just around turn 7, it just turned into something else. Yes.
Cage catch. Ugh.
Start.
Good luck, Lar.
Dang.
Hey.
I don't know why I'm smiling in the graphic. I'm just.
Alright, who's gonna follow this?
I guess I'll do it.
Alright.
Got so many messages to catch up on. Alright, Mario Party Fridays. We've got Bernard in the house. We've got Alpha, Dog, Wolf, who's barely conscious. We have Jamie, we have Anthony, and we have Vicky. This one has been one for the ages. It started out kind of slow in my opinion, but you can watch the video to see what just happened. The last 3 turns were the wildest I've seen probably ever. It was really, you're going to see the graph here, and Anthony and Jamie were just going back and forth like a domestic violence couple. Jamie was just slapping the shit out of him, not like literally, but like in the game, just. And ignore that, it's got me up there because they picked me as the avatar.
And then, yep, straight down.
But look at that right there where it just...
And it's gonna curve back up.
It just does a whole stock market thing there.
No, it doesn't curve back up. I'm not losing.
So let's see who actually won this one.
Top 2 player.
Well, this is gonna be anybody, honestly.
Bernard got robbed probably
All
3
of
times.
us. Oh my god!
Everyone
we all
got a
won.
star?
Everybody got a star.
Oh.
Holy shit!
Wow, I've never seen that.
Oh.
Oh,
It's gonna be me.
That's me.
Oh wait. Oh, fewest spaces. Oh, I don't know.
Oh!
Ew.
Because I was doing like 3s and 2s and 3s.
I got like a bunch of 10s. Like,
That's the game. That's the
I
game.
thought it
That's
was,
star.
like, who, like, didn't have like a
Oh.
star. You know, like at least one or something like that. Because I would say that was definitely me.
That should be Jamie.
Yep. Jamie has built.
Woo!
Yep.
I lost track of the stars.
There she is.
5 stars.
5.
No, 6.
5 or 6.
I think.
Yeah. Because you got.
She had 4, and then they gave everybody 1, and then she just got that one. 6 stars. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, 6 stars.
Wow, what a game.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, look, we were all tied at one point. And I landed on a star where one of the
traps.
Yeah, the star traps. So Anthony got one of my stars, and then Anthony and I dueled, and then
I lost.
he lost. So
At the
I got
last
one
second.
At the
Yeah.
last second, like very last second.
I hit you too.
Yeah, you hit me because it was the marble one. Where
He
we were
pretty
running
much
through.
slapped you into the finish
Yeah.
line.
And it was so close the whole time. That was crazy. Because like as you can see, I was like behind. Like I got the first star, and then I was like behind, and then bam.
You might have to take a picture of that.
That was crazy. That was crazy. Oh my
I
God.
swear that looks like somebody's portfolio. So these other guys, we were all trading together, but they didn't sell their stuff, and I just kept buying different stuff and just.
Yeah, and I landed on the Bowser's face. That was messed up. I forgot about that.
Made him run away, so I'm
And
happy.
he ran away from me.
Yeah, that's extremely lucky. He ran away from you. Anthony randomly chose you, so it makes you wonder if he would have chose somebody else,
Yeah.
what would have happened there? Because let's say you still, with Mario, get what you got, and you could pick 2 people. Would you have picked him twice because he had an extra star from taking it from somebody else? Or would you have not picked him because he could have lost the star to Bernard or Vicky. We'll never know.
Yoshi had a perfectly balanced run.
Balance award. I don't know if I've seen that either. Like you were just perfectly just.
That was crazy.
What does balance award mean?
We balance.
You had a perfectly balanced run. You exude stability.
Okay.
Congratulations, man.
You had a balanced breakfast today. Oh no! You know what we forgot?
What?
Because we haven't done it in so long.
The belt?
I said she gets the belt.
No, you can't just say it. You have to give it to her.
You don't have to give it
Get
to
your
me.
belt.
I know where my belt is.
Okay, Sabrina Carpenter. It's 11 p.m. Do you know where your belt is?
Right there.
Winner and new champion. You could. I don't think they can see you. No, cameras. Yeah. No, the camera right there in front of you.
Yeah, I was trying to
Oh,
get into
okay.
where my thing
Well,
was.
your belt is
It was all boobs, no doubt. All right, y'all. That was actually fun. Fun to watch too. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that. For myself, for Bernard, who's been noticeably silent, and Rob, for Alpha, who is now gleefully awake, for Anthony, who gave it his all, for Vicky, who is probably salty. We are going to see you guys in the next one. Other Your Little Hat Guy will return.